41,000 years ago, the sky betrayed us. Imagine waking up to a world where the sun burns skin like acid, where nights shimmer with blood-red auroras, and where stepping outside for too long could kill you. No wars, no plagues, no asteroid, just the sun, suddenly relentless, and Earth's magnetic shield collapsing like a dying breath. Most species hid, some perished, and yet a tiny group of humans not only survived, they adapted, evolved, and ultimately inherited the entire world. But how do you fight an enemy you can't see? How do you survive a solar storm apocalypse older than history itself? And more importantly, if it happened once, could it happen again? 41,000 years ago, the world wasn't peaceful. But it was predictable. Seasons changed. Animals migrated. The sky, that ancient guardian, simply was, until one day it wasn't. The Earth's magnetic field, the invisible shield that protects every living thing from deadly space radiation, began to collapse. Not slowly like erosion, not quietly like drifting sand, but violently. It weakened to a shadow of itself, barely 10% of normal strength. Suddenly, our planet stood naked under a hostile sun. Imagine stepping outside and feeling sunlight not as warmth but as a threat. Your skin stings, your eyes burn, your hair smells like scorched grass after too long in the open. The air hums with static like a storm that never ends, and then the sky ignites, not with fires but with light. Blood-red curtains ripple across the horizon. Neon green arcs flicker like ghosts dancing above dark forests. Auroras, once reserved only for the poles, now swirl across Europe, Asia, Africa. Night after night, the heavens are glowing, shimmering, buzzing with radiation. To ancient humans, there were no scientific explanations, only fear. Only myth, only survival. Water sources change chemistry. Weather patterns twist unpredictably. Large animals migrate without warning. And the sun, the giver of life, becomes the bringer of death. For Neanderthals hunting in open plains, each day outside is a gamble. For early Homo sapiens huddled in caves, every sunrise feels like a countdown. The apocalypse didn't roar like an asteroid strike or scream like a plague. It whispered through light, through sky, through skin, a slow-motion catastrophe written in radiation and silence. This was the moment humanity learned something powerful. The universe doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it tests you. What happens when the rules of nature suddenly break? At first, ancient humans didn't understand. How could they? There were no stars to map this chaos, no scientists to warn them. Only instinct. And instinct screamed that something was terribly wrong. Animals behaved strangely. Birds vanished from the skies. Mammoths shifted migration routes as if chased by invisible predators. Even the night felt different, sharper, colder. Dangerous yet eerily beautiful beneath crimson auroras that painted shadows across cave walls. And then came the sickness. Not a disease, but a silent erosion. Those who spent too long under the exposed sun fell weak, skin blistered, eyes clouded. Fertility dropped. Children, the future of any tribe, became fragile against the unseen assault raining from above. Radiation did not roar, it seeped. Imagine a hunter tracking game across a valley, unaware he is slowly being poisoned. Imagine a mother shielding her child from sunlight as if it were fire. Imagine a world learning, painfully, that the sky could hurt you. Fire became sacred. Not just warmth, but sanctuary. Flames cast shadows on cave walls as ancient humans retreated into the earth, huddled together, whispering to ancestors carved in stone. Shelter wasn't convenience, it was armor. Outside, lightning storms raged more violently. The air carried metallic taste. Some nights, the sky crackled like a cosmic battlefield. Earth caught between sun and stars. This wasn't superstition. This was evolution under assault. In those dark, glowing nights, humanity faced a question older than history. Do we endure, or do we vanish? And in that question, in that fear, the seeds of ingenuity began to sprout. The world was changing. To survive, humans would have to change too. As months turned to years, one truth became clear. This was not a storm you could wait out. There was no normal to return to. No safe season. No sky untouched by shimmering radiation. Humanity had entered an age where the environment wasn't just harsh, it was actively hostile. Yet in this terror, something remarkable happened. Instead of breaking, The human mind sharpened. Caves were no longer just temporary shelter. They became permanent refuge. Underground chambers echoed with planning, tool-making, whispers of new ideas. Firelight flickered across walls where hands pressed pigments and symbols, as if trying to speak to the future. When the planet turned dangerous, humans turned inventive. Every sunrise became a calculation. Every step outdoors a strategic risk. This pressure, relentless, biological, cosmic, forced early humans to adapt faster than ever. Maybe for the first time, survival depended not on strength or numbers, but ingenuity. Meanwhile, nature offered subtle clues. Some pigments blocked sunlight better than others. Some animal hides provided more protection. Some landscapes were safer, richer in sheltering caves and dense forests. Those who observed and survived. Those who ignored suffered. And in the quiet between lightning storms,
angered by the
tribes
broken
told
oath,
stories
painted
of skies
their
that
fury
bled light,
across the heavens
of people
in
burned
blood.
by the sun, of spirits dancing above the world, demanding tribute. They did not know the science one yet, but they understood the stakes. This was humanity's first battle against the cosmos. No weapons, no walls, just knowledge, instinct, and the will to keep going. And in that crucible of fear and invention, a question sparked. One that would reshape the destiny of an entire species. What if we could protect ourselves from the sky itself? Deep inside a cave, a young human dips fingers into red earth, thick iron-rich pigment. She smears it across her cheeks, her arms, her child's skin. The color glows warm under torchlight. Like fire turned to clay, to us it looks like ritual. To them, it was survival. Because generations of observation had taught them something profound. The sun burned less where the red clay stayed. Skin painted in ochre blistered slower, healed faster, endured longer. No textbooks, no laboratories, just instinct, memory, and desperate trial. This was the birth of something extraordinary, the first sunscreen in human history. And alongside pigment, another revolution unfolded. Animal skins had long been worn, but now they were shaped, cut, pierced, stitched with bone needles and sinew thread. Not just draped, tailored. Clothing wasn't fashion, it was armor. Every stitch was a declaration. If the world changes, so will we. Meanwhile, outside the caves, the Neanderthals struggled. Powerful bodies, immense strength. But strength alone cannot block radiation. Their hides were worn loose, their shelters fewer, their skin bare to a sky that had turned hostile. They hunted bravely. They endured cold with the toughness of stone. But this was not a cold battle anymore. This was invisible. Warfare. Against light and energy no spear could strike, and in that quiet shift, in pigment and clothing, not muscle, the evolutionary tide began to turn. The humans who learned to shape the world stayed. Alive, the ones who trusted nature to stay kind began to fade. Innovation wasn't convenience. It was life or death, and the red pigment drying on a mother's skin wasn't decoration. It was humanity's first shield. Daylight became rationed. Early humans stepped outside only when necessary, to hunt in the dawn mist, to gather before the sun sharpened, to scout paths when clouds mercifully rolled in. Every second beneath the open sky carried risk. Every journey a gamble between hunger and harm, and so strategy evolved. Hunting parties wrapped themselves in layered hides, pigment smeared thick across cheeks like war paint. Their tools sharpened not just for prey, but for speed. Their hunt had to be fast, precise, and timed against the sky, not just the herd. Children were taught early: find shadow, follow shelter, respect the light. Tribes marked safe paths through forests and narrow gullies where trees shielded them. They learned which caves flooded after storms, which valleys held protective mist, which cliffs formed natural radiation shade. Knowledge became a survival currency, shared in whispers, carved in ochre symbols. Fire was no longer just warmth. It became a boundary line between death and comfort. Flames crackled at cave entrances like guardians, their smoke curling like prayers toward the sky. Beneath that glow, humans mixed pigments, scraped hides, carved bone needles, telling their children the same truth. The world punishes the unprepared. Meanwhile, Neanderthals watched the world darken around them. They were strong, but strength meant exposure. They hunted boldly in open plains, skin exposed to a sky swirling with lethal beauty. Their culture admired toughness. Their bodies were built for weather, Not radiation. They didn't hide, they didn't change fast enough. And slowly, quietly, the advantage shifted. Humanity wasn't the strongest species. It wasn't the fastest. It wasn't the tallest or fiercest. It simply adapted faster. And that, more than muscle or might, began to decide the future of the Earth. Inside the caves, nights weren't silent. They were alive with invention. The scrape of flint, the rhythm of bone needles piercing hide, the hush of soft voices trading ideas, not just stories. Humans were no longer reacting to danger. They were engineering around it. Red ochre bowls sat beside sharpened stone tools, hides stretched on wooden frames, drying into wearable armor. Feathers, fur, and beads whispered of identity, culture, and protection, proof that survival had merged with creativity. This wasn't primitive life. This was the first spark of civilization. While the sun raged outside, humanity turned inward, into caves, into thought, into innovation. They mapped the stars, carved memories into walls, experimented with pigments, tested clothing styles. Each generation passed survival secrets to the next, not just instincts, but knowledge. Adaptation turned into tradition. Tradition became culture. Culture sharpened into advantage, and the difference echoed across the land. Neanderthal bands grew smaller. Their bones tell of stress, malnutrition, dwindling numbers. Their shelters remained temporary. Their clothing simple. Their pigments rare. They fought nature with strength, but nature had changed the battlefield. They were warriors in the wrong kind of war. Meanwhile, Homo sapiens were no longer just surviving, they were thriving. Hunting more, efficiently, healing faster, protecting. Children with rituals of pigment and cloth. The survival gap widened with each sunrise, in caves glowing with firelight and red pigment dust. A species was transforming, not by accident, but by choice. This solar storm did more than threaten humanity. It forced us to invent the future. And in that crucible of danger and genius, one truth became clear. The moment humans learned to defend themselves from the sky, they became unstoppable. When the sky finally calmed, when the magnetic field slowly strengthened and the auroras faded, the world was not the same. Neither were we. Those who emerged from the caves were not simply survivors. They were engineers of their own destiny, shaped by fear, hardened by innovation, sharpened by adaptation. The solar storm didn't just scar the Earth. It rewired humanity. Our minds had changed. Our culture had changed. Our future had changed. This was the moment intelligence became our greatest weapon. From pigment on skin to symbols on cave walls, ideas became our lifeline. Every invention, clothing, tools, fire control, shelter strategy, was no longer about living day to day. It was about planning for danger, anticipating tomorrow, mastering the unknown. The world outside still bore marks of cosmic violence. Trees, twisted by chemical stress, landscapes eroded by climate swings, animal populations forever shifted. But Homo sapiens walked through it prepared. We had evolved not through mutation, but through understanding. And somewhere in those post-storm centuries, a quiet disappearance unfolded. Neanderthals, powerful, intelligent in their own way, faded into the shadows of fossil record. Not wiped out in battle, not hunted into extinction, but out-adapted. The sky had given humanity a brutal exam. We passed. They didn't. And the result wasn't just survival. It was domination. For the first time in Earth's history, one species didn't just live through catastrophe. It used catastrophe to rise. And just when it seemed the danger was ancient history, science revealed something we were never meant to forget. What happened 41,000 years ago was not a one-time event. Earth's shield will weaken again. The sun will erupt again. The question is no longer, did it happen? It's, are we ready when it happens again? Today we like to think we're untouchable. We have satellites, power grids, digital maps of the skies. We launch rockets, explore planets, bend atoms to our will. We believe the universe is under control. Our control. But space has never cared about human confidence. 1,000 years ago, the sun turned against us, and it can do so again. And scientists now know the truth. Earth's magnetic field is weakening, right now. not collapsing overnight, but fading, shifting, trembling, just like it did before the last cosmic storm. We see hints. Satellites glitch unexpectedly, radio blackouts occur during solar flares, aurora lights appear, farther and farther from the poles, aircraft alter paths during solar bursts power. Grids strain under electromagnetic spikes. We live in a world powered by electricity, data, and orbiting technology, all of it vulnerable to the same cosmic force our ancestors faced with only fire and pigment. Back then, radiation burned skin. Today, it could burn civilization. Imagine. GPS failing, power stations shutting down, satellites frying, internet collapsing, planes grounded, hospitals dark.
The water.
Global communication
Not right.
gone in an instant. Not science fiction. A strong enough solar storm, said a modern Carrington, event could trigger it. Our ancestors watched the sky and feared the lights. We watch the sky and call it pretty. Maybe the difference isn't intelligence, but memory. They remembered the sky could turn deadly. We've forgotten, and yet deep inside our DNA, in stories of sun gods and fire demons and skies that punish, a whisper remains. The sun gives life, and one day it may take it back. So, what do we do now? We're not in caves anymore. We don't paint our faces with ochre. We don't stitch hide garments in the dark. Our weapons are satellites, computers, grids, response teams. Our shields are policy, infrastructure, science. But the threat is the same. A massive solar storm or geomagnetic reversal could rip through the very systems we depend on, more than just power or data. It could shake our trust, our survival, our civilization. We have advantage, knowledge, we have foresight, technology, we have records of the past, of the Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat, of fields collapsing, of auroras far south. And we have choice, because unlike 41,000 years ago, we can ask, will we build shelters for our electronics and communication? Will we adapt our infrastructure to cosmic risk? Will we teach the next generation that the sky is not always kindly? It can kill. Will we remember that survival is not automatic? Humanity already changed once under cosmic pressure, not because we were the strongest, but because we were the cleverest, because we turned danger into innovation, threat into shelter, sky into tool. Now the moment calls. Again, the sun will flare, the shield will flicker, the auroras may dance again over cities. And when that moment comes, we can respond, we can endure, we can evolve, because we carry more than technology. We carry a heritage of adapting. The red ochre of our ancestors may be dust today. Their hide clothing may be gone to time, but their legacy lives on. In every protective idea, every innovation born of fear, every life spared because someone asked, what if the sky is not safe? Let that question define us. Let that question drive us. Because the day may come when we must rise again, under a sun we thought we knew. We've walked through a story that begins in caves, fires, red pigment skin, and ends on satellites, grids, cities shimmering under auroral threat. From ancient humans using ochre and hide to fortify themselves against a sun gone wild, to us, standing at the threshold of the same cosmic gamble. So here's the challenge. Think about what you would do if the sky glowed red tonight. Remember that survival isn't guaranteed. Subscribe to the idea that knowledge, adaptation, and innovation matter more than comfort. Hit that subscribe button and join the journey where we explore the forgotten, the weird, the cosmic, and the human. Share this video. Drop a comment. What would you wear if the sun turned deadly tomorrow? Because the past is not just stories, it's warning. And the future is not just hope, it's question. We survived once, we can survive again, but only if we're ready. If you liked this deep dive into our human survival story, explore more videos here, link, and stay curious. Thank you for watching and keep looking up.